Teddy Bear Pendergrass, a man who was blessed with it all.
Looking back over my years, I guess I shed some tears.
His husky, passionate yet effortless baritone was intriguing, and it exceptionally powered his timeless, smooth and seductive music. Over to his looks, only the ladies can describe him better. A tall, handsome, stylish man who oozed confidence, they found him irresistible. In fact, in his unique, women-only concerts, many of them used to throw lingerie on stage. That's how crazy they were for him. Topping this up with his electrifying performances and alluring persona, he was often seen as a symbol of sensuality, aptly nicknamed the Godfather of Sex. Yet Pendergrass was more than a magnetic performer. His intelligence and articulate nature distinguished him in the music industry. He was notably astute in business, a rare trait among his contemporaries. Being the first African-American artist to achieve 5 consecutive platinum albums from 1977 to 1980 was just one of the testaments to his unmatched talent and appeal. However, his soaring career took a tragic turn on March 18, 1982. He was involved in a devastating car accident on the notoriously windy and curvy road in Philly's Germantown, leaving him paralyzed from the waist down. This incident plunged him into a prolonged period of depression and regret. Though he eventually mustered the strength to move on, he never quite regained his pre-accident stature. Speculations abounded regarding the cause of the accident, whether it was the result of foul play, karma, or a mechanical failure in his Rolls-Royce Silver Spirit remains a subject of debate. But before we dive deep into the chilling and disturbing details of that day, let's travel back in time and get to know how this gentleman defied all odds to become one of the most respected and celebrated artists of all time. From the dusty cotton fields of South Carolina to the prestigious stage of Carnegie Hall, this is the story of Teddy Pendergrass. Theodore de Rees Pendergrass was born on March 26, 1950, at Philadelphia's Thomas Jefferson Hospital, as the only child of Jesse and Ida Geraldine Pendergrass. His birth was special, and a special gift from God according to his mother Ida. See, his parents had met and married in South Carolina in 1936, and had been together all through before Jesse, through the World War II draft cards Young Men, was called to serve in the military from October 1940, separating them temporarily. Through that short period they were together. It was hell on earth for them, particularly to Mama Ida. Even after the return of Jesse from service in 1947, even though Mama Ida had been praying all through, things didn't look up. The couple in some way had problems with getting a kid. Ida had suffered a total of 6 miscarriages through the years and was in despair. But her steadfast belief was the only thing that always kept her going. She even went ahead and made a covenant with her God, where she promised lifelong service to him in exchange for just one healthy child. And as she was on the verge of giving up, her prayers seemed to be answered when she became pregnant in mid-1949. However, in the 8th month of her pregnancy, Jesse abruptly left her for another woman, a decision possibly influenced by the trauma of their past losses and lack of faith. Lucky enough, Ida found solace and support in her church, the Glad Tidings Tabernacle Church. The church community rallied around her, with the assistant pastor, Reverend Branch, becoming Teddy's godfather. Teddy, named Theodore, meaning gift of God, truly seemed to embody this name. Mama Ida, honoring her promise to God, immersed herself and Teddy in the church's activities, attending services up to 6 times a week. Teddy's exposure to the church environment sparked his early interest in music. He began singing as early as age 2 and would dumbfound church congregants at age 3 when he fluently sang the song, "If I Could Write a Letter to Heaven." Teddy's upbringing was marked by his mother's steadfast support, ensuring he never lacked in care, nutrition, or luxurious activities like ice skating. Away from this, his academic prowess was evident from the first day he joined school at McIntyre Elementary School, where he excelled with ease. Despite suggestions for him to skip grades or attend schools for the gifted, his mother preferred a normal education for him with his peers. All through his schooling years, his interest was heavily driven to music class, and he wouldn't miss being in the choir of the schools he attended. Growing up in a religious environment and heavily influenced by his mother, Teddy grew to believe his calling was in ministry. At age 10, he was ordained as a minister and even occasionally addressed the congregation. A young Reverend Teddy would meet his father for the first time a year later in a poignant turn of events thanks to his mother. But tragically, his father would succumb from a knife stab in a dispute with a drinking buddy just a year later on June 12, 1962. A young Teddy who was trying to connect with his father would remain with this wound for the rest of his life. At the age of 13, Teddy's life took a significant turn when his mother secured a full-time job as a cleaner at Shiola's, a supper club on West Pike Street. Working there from 1953 to 1971, she was the only African-American employee, but was treated with great respect and was always seen as part of the family. This relationship brought notable benefits to their lives. The stable job allowed Ida and Teddy to move into a larger two-bedroom apartment, giving teenage Teddy his own room. They also changed churches, joining First Pentecostal Baptist, which profoundly influenced Teddy's musical direction. The church's large bass drum and the way it was played by one of the ministers captivated him and sparked his interest in drumming. Over to his mother's workplace, which had heavy musical equipment, Teddy used the special privileges given to them to have him play the drums during off hours, fueling his growing passion for music even more. This experience shifted his aspirations from becoming a minister to pursuing drumming. The club's owner, Gaetano Sciolli, even made arrangements for Teddy to watch popular acts who performed at the club like Chubby Checker, going to the extent of having him shake hands and take a picture with the legend as a gesture of appreciation to Mama Ida's dedication to work. Moments like this fueled Teddy's growing passion for music even more. Looking at this picture, we have to give it to Mama Ida for instilling such class in Teddy from a young age. She definitely had a sense of elegance in her. They relocated again after some time to an apartment which brought them close to the Uptown Theater, Philadelphia's R&B hub. Here, Teddy witnessed live performances by a number of great Motown artists, but it was Jackie Wilson's performance which sent female fans into a frenzy that decisively influenced his ambition to become a singer. Witnessing the adulation Wilson received, combined with his growing interest in girls, solidified his desire to pursue a career in music. During his junior high years, Teddy Pendergrass attended several schools, including Fitzsimon, Gillespie, and Stetson Junior High, which exposed him to diverse cultures and people who didn't prioritize religion. His mother's full-time job also reduced their church attendance, and as Teddy entered prime adolescence, he began to drift away from his faith. However, his passion for music remained steadfast, and he continued to participate in school choirs, joining the Edison Master Singers at Thomas Alva Edison High School. Back home, living in a mixed neighborhood in Philadelphia during a time of heightened gang activity, Teddy found himself in a challenging environment. One evening, he witnessed a robbery committed by two young African-American gang members. When the police arrived, they wrongfully detained Teddy, mistaking him for one of the perpetrators. Despite the evidence in his favor, he was unjustly sentenced to 4 months at the Youth Study Center in Philadelphia. While incarcerated, Teddy tried to avoid trouble by socializing and engaging in vice activities like playing cards and smoking. Upon release, he focused on catching up with his studies, eager to make his mother proud by finishing high school. However, the influence of his peers began to affect his interest in academics. He started skipping school to drink with friends and serenade girls at parties, leading to a decline in his grades. After finding out that he had failed terribly and wasn't graduating from the 11th grade, he decided to quit school, much to the dissatisfaction of his mother. He would thereafter work various jobs, ranging from farm work in New Jersey picking peaches and blueberries to driving a cab and a delivery truck. Despite these challenges, his commitment to earning an honest living, influenced by his strong Christian upbringing, remained unwavering. And even through the odd jobs, Teddy's ambition to become a singer persisted despite, and was always on the lookout for opportunities. In the process, he decided to take an occasional gig drumming at the small local clubs and also formed the Paramounts with friends Tony Talent and Kenny Gamble. They met Gene Lawson, a talent scout, who became their manager and promised them stardom. Teddy recorded singles like We Got Love, Angel with Muddy Feet, and Should I Go or Should I Stay, but unfortunately never got to hear from Lawson ever again, nor the records. His resolve undeterred, Teddy faced yet another challenge, the Vietnam War draft. Despite a rule exempting those who were the only sons in their family, he was drafted. Fearing for his life, he sought a medical exemption. Rumor had it that consuming a cube of sugar before the physical could simulate diabetes-like symptoms. Teddy tried this tactic, and fortunate enough, he successfully failed the medical exam and was relieved to find his name omitted from the final draft list, allowing him to continue pursuing his musical dreams. At 18, Teddy Pendergrass seized an opportunity in Atlantic City, a hub for vibrant clubs with non-stop live music. Working as a waiter at Reggie Edgehill's supper club, he stumbled upon a life-changing chance when Little Royal, a performer styled after James Brown, was in need of a new drummer. Teddy auditioned and impressively secured the job. Despite his age, he respectfully sought his mother's approval, which Little Royal helped him obtain by assuring her that he ran a clean and legit organization. Mama Ida gave them her blessings. Joining Little Royal and the Swing Masters, Teddy spent a year gaining invaluable experience. However, dissatisfaction with financial arrangements led him to leave when the group had toured Quebec in Canada and headed back home disappointed, but his determination still unshaken. He joined a group called Signs of the Times as a drummer and later moved to the Soul Messengers. He was later hired by a group called the Cadillacs, where his journey took a significant turn when performing with them one night. Harold Melvin of the well-established Blue Notes spotted his talent. Melvin, seeking fresh talent for his group, offered Teddy a position as a drummer, a decision that would soon escalate Teddy's career in unforeseen ways. Working with Harold Melvin marked a pivotal moment in Teddy Pendergrass's career. He often reflected on this time as the most significant in his professional life, crediting Harold for teaching him vital survival skills in the competitive show business. The Blue Notes, although regularly booked, were not headliners yet, but their persistence and resilience kept them going. Teddy, in particular, honed his drumming skills and started gaining recognition in the field. Despite their efforts, the absence of major hits meant performing in smaller venues, leading to financial struggles. There were days they went hungry and had difficulty affording hotel rooms. During these tough times, Teddy sometimes relied on his mother for financial support, who always came in handy. Initially, Teddy was known for his impatience, and as a drummer, his dream of singing seemed far-fetched. He occasionally sang with the group but grew frustrated with the lack of opportunities to lead. Overheard discussing his intention to quit with a club dancer, Harold Melvin, not wanting to lose him, offered Teddy a chance to join the singing group, an offer Teddy received with both hands. Teddy's addition to the singing lineup, sharing lead vocals with Harold, began to draw more recognition and shows, though financial hardships persisted. Their fortune turned in 1972 during a performance at the Apollo Club in Camden, New Jersey, where they caught the attention of Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff from Philadelphia International Records. Their interest in the group marked the beginning of a brighter future. Harold Melvin rebranded the group to Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes to show the other members who was in charge of the group, and also due to his envy towards the now fan favorite Teddy Pendergrass. Under the new label, the group released their first single, I Miss You, in August 1972. The follow-up hit, If You Don't Know Me By Now, in September, catapulted them to mainstream success, topping the US R&B chart and reaching number 3 on the US Billboard Hot 100. This breakthrough allowed Teddy to indulge in some comforts, renting a lovely one-bedroom apartment in the Gypsy Lane Apartments and purchasing a gold Cadillac Coupe de Ville, symbolizing his ascent in the music world. Teddy's success with Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes brought him fame, wealth, and an extravagant lifestyle, aligning with his dreams. It didn't come as a surprise when he fathered 3 kids all born in the same year, 1974. However, the thrill was short-lived as he became increasingly frustrated within the group. Despite being the key factor in the group's flourishing career, Teddy felt undervalued and overshadowed by Harold Melvin, whose authoritative control and minimal contribution to the group's performances irked him. Moreover, the group's name caused confusion, leading to Teddy inadvertently promoting Harold's name instead of his own. Determined to assert his significance, Teddy proposed renaming the group to Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes featuring Teddy Pendergrass. Initially resistant, Harold eventually conceded, although he maintained control over the group's finances. Their third album under this new billing produced successful hits like Bad Luck and Hope That We Can Be Together Soon, and their fourth album's title track, Wake Up Everybody, topped the charts. Despite their professional success, their extravagant lifestyles led to renewed financial strains. Teddy, aware of Harold's exploitative tendencies, grew increasingly disillusioned, particularly when Harold's arrogance cost them gigs. An incident at the Playboy Club in Los Angeles exemplified this, as Harold's dispute with the club management led to the group shouldering their expenses for the week. While Harold stayed in luxury, the rest struggled financially. When the group approached Teddy to request financial help from Harold, a confrontation ensued. When Teddy went over to meet him, he found him with some of his white-heeled friends and hangers-on laughing and joking while doing drugs. He was very pissed at him, as in how could he be enjoying himself in a suite while his groupmates were starving and miserable. To calm Teddy down, Harold went over to his bedroom to get him something. A curious Teddy followed him and peeked around the doorframe only to see Harold picking a stack of notes from what he believed to be thousands of dollars. After that night, he decided he was not going to take it any longer. He was going to quit. And that's exactly what he did. As news of Teddy Pendergrass's departure from Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes spread, the group's popularity waned, leading to other members exiting to join Teddy. Despite threats of bodily harm from Harold Melvin, Teddy remained steadfast in his pursuit of a solo career. In need of a manager to navigate the business aspects of the music industry, Teddy turned to Taazmayia Lang, a smart, successful businesswoman and ex-wife of Philadelphia Eagles fullback Izzy Lang. At the time, Taz was Teddy's girlfriend, known for her connections with high-profile celebrities like Diane Warwick, Nancy Wilson. Teddy, drawn to Taz's intellect and beauty, moved into her Mount Airy home, a popular gathering place for celebrities. With their relationship flourishing, Teddy asked Taz for a $15,000 loan to support his Teddy Bear Productions company, offering her 10% of the royalties from his first album. She agreed, and despite their breakup 2 months later, Taz continued as his business manager, even negotiating a solo deal with Gamble and Huff. However, a startling discovery in the contract strained their professional relationship. Contrary to their agreement of Taz receiving 10% from only the first album, the contract entitled her to a perpetual 10% from all of Teddy's future albums and business earnings. Teddy's frustration mirrored his past experience with Harold Melvin, feeling trapped and exploited. Despite confronting Taz, she stood firm, unwilling to renegotiate or terminate the contract. Although they remained business partners, Teddy's trust in Taz wavered significantly, a stark contrast to his initial confidence in her protective instincts from exploit from his inner circle. On April 14, 1977, a tragic event occurred that profoundly affected Teddy Pendergrass's life. That night, Taazmayia Lang was fatally shot outside her home. She was accompanied by Joseph "Jojo" Tynes, an employee of Teddy who was baffled by the sudden attack. The perpetrator, emerging from nearby bushes, shot Taz, killing her instantly, while Jojo was getting something out of the car trunk, leaving the crime unsolved and shrouded in mystery. The police theorized that someone may have wanted to scare her, but instead killed her. Jojo Tynes, deeply troubled by the incident, carried the burden of that night until his death in 2013. Taz's funeral took place on April 19, 1977, at the Second Macedonia Baptist Church, with Reverend Jesse Jackson delivering the eulogy. She was interred at Chelton Hills Cemetery in Philadelphia, At the funeral, Teddy faced suspicion and hostility, with some attendees believing he was involved in Taz's murder. Theories abounded, implicating the Philadelphia Black Mafia and Philadelphia International Records, who were rumored to resent Lang's influence over Teddy's career. Speculation also arose about Teddy's rekindled connections with childhood friends who are now in the Mafia, believed to be a protective measure against Harold Melvin's threats. Taz, known for her dedication to Teddy Bear Productions and her efforts to eliminate financial exploitation of Teddy, may have become a target due to her role. Questions lingered. Did Teddy orchestrate the murder to retaliate against Taz for contract disputes? Was it a long con for Teddy to exploit her resources and then eliminate her as she died even before his first album was released? Or was it an opportunistic act by someone else, knowing the blame would likely fall on Teddy? The unresolved nature of the case till now clearly suggests the involvement of powerful figures beyond Teddy. While speculation continues, Teddy, who also received threats, remained undeterred in pursuing his ambitions. A week after the tragic loss of Taz, Teddy Pendergrass made a powerful solo debut at New York City's Carnegie Hall, marking the start of a new chapter in his career. He soon released his self-titled album, which achieved platinum status, driven by the disco hit I Don't Love You Anymore, and the top 20 R&B single, The Whole Town's Laughing at Me. The album also featured popular tracks like You Can't Hide From Yourself, The More I Get, The More I Want, and the ballad And If I Had. In 1978, Teddy's second album, Life is a Song Worth Singing, hit the shelves with standout singles Only You, and the chart-topping R&B hit Close the Door, cementing his image as a leading sex symbol in soul music. The album, which reached double platinum and topped the R&B charts, included hits like Get Up, Get Down, Get Funky, Get Loose, Boo, It Don't Hurt Now, and When Somebody Loves You Back. He continued his success with the 1979 albums Teddy and Live Coast to Coast, and the 1980 album TP, featuring the hit Love TKO and a duet with Stephanie Mills, Feel the Fire, and the Ashford and Simpson composition, Is It Still Good to You? From 1977 to 1981, Pendergrass achieved an unprecedented feat, releasing 5 consecutive platinum albums, setting a record for an R&B artist. His skyrocketing popularity led to sold-out concerts and the innovative women-only concerts organized by his manager, Shep Gordon. These concerts, where fans often threw lingerie on stage and received chocolate-covered teddy bear lollipops, significantly boosted his fame, earning him the nickname, the Black Elvis. He even bought a 34-room mansion near Philadelphia, akin to Elvis's Graceland. By 1982, Pendergrass had established himself as a top R&B artist, competing with Marvin Gaye and surpassing peers like Barry White. His influence was evident in the R&B genre, inspiring responses from other artists, such as the Isley Brothers' Don't Say Goodnight, It's Time for Love, to his hit Turn Off the Lights. Teddy Pendergrass's meteoric rise to fame brought with it an aura of invincibility and a touch of arrogance. He was living a life of luxury, owning horses, a private jet, a variety of high-end cars, and securing lucrative endorsement deals, including with liquor companies. He even launched his own fashion line, the Teddy Pendergrass Celebrity Jeans. However, his success and lifestyle inevitably attracted envy and enemies, not only from his industry achievements but also from personal missteps. The legendary Rick James, a fellow artist managed by Shep Gordon, allegedly warned Teddy about his reckless behavior and hubris. Teddy's habit of engaging in affairs with other men's wives and his perceived self-importance were sources of conflict. Disputes arose with notable figures like the Isley Brothers, Bobby Womack's crew, and Marvin Gaye, who accused him of imitating his style and having an affair with his wife. Teddy's penchant for speeding often put him on the police radar, and he was a target for mobster extortion attempts. The jealousy and resentment from those he had wronged created a constant threat to his safety. On one occasion, a woman he had wronged during a tour attempted to attack him with a knife backstage, a situation he narrowly escaped due to his quick reaction. This environment of envy and vengeance was a persistent shadow over his otherwise glittering career. On March 18, 1982, just before his 32nd birthday, Teddy Pendergrass experienced a life-altering event in Philadelphia's East Falls area. He recounts in his book, Truly Blessed, how this incident always haunted him. That evening, Teddy the ladies' man was at Club Elan with a friend, Yvette Gagne, when they were approached by Tenica Watson, a person he vaguely remembered from the 70s. Unbeknownst to Teddy, Tenica, born John Watson, had transitioned to a woman in 1977, as she felt she was trapped in the wrong body. It is said the night was advancing and Yvette had to go work the next day, so Teddy offered to drop her at her place and requested Tenica to tag along, promising to return her to the club later. After dropping off Yvette at her place and were heading back to downtown Philadelphia along Lincoln Drive, known for its treacherous curves, his Rolls-Royce's brakes failed and crashed into a tree, paralyzing Teddy from the chest down. Tenica, interestingly, sustained only minor injuries, sparking various rumors and speculations among fans, including suspicions that she was part of a plot against him. Investigations revealed that the car's brakes had been tampered with, leading Teddy to successfully sue Rolls-Royce. This raised questions about who would target him, considering his numerous enemies and his penchant for speeding. At the time of the accident, his driver's license had been suspended due to unpaid parking tickets, and it was later discovered that his other cars had also been tampered with. Just a week before the incident, he had been involved in a minor crash in his Maserati. Teddy believed the police might have been involved, having previously sued them for harassment. It goes without saying that the tragedy struck just as he was about to turn only 32 years, and had not even hit his peak, and that he was just on the verge of superstardom when it was all taken away from him. Did he fly too close to the sun and got his wings burnt off just like the other greats at their peak? Or was it karma doing its thing for all the sins he had committed over the years? All we can do is speculate. The aftermath of Teddy Pendergrass's tragic accident in 1982 led to a profound transformation in his life. Struggling with depression and a loss of his previously unshakable confidence, he contemplated taking his own life. To add on this, his fans had quickly moved on and shifted their attention to Marvin Gaye's new release, Sexual Healing. After a year of rehabilitation and coming to terms with his condition, Teddy made a comeback by signing with Elektra Asylum in 1983. His album Love Language achieved gold status in 1984, while Philadelphia International released 2 albums of his unreleased tracks, This One's For You, 1982, and Heaven Only Knows, 1983. Teddy's return to the spotlight was marked by a poignant performance at the 1985's Live Aid concert in Philadelphia, his first live appearance post-accident. The emotional performance included a rendition of Diana Ross's Reach Out and Touch Somebody's Hand, alongside Ashford and Simpson, in front of a live audience of over 99,000 and 1.5 billion TV viewers. That same year, he released the album Workin' It Back. Just when things looked like going back to normal, tragedy struck again. On July 3, 1986, Teddy was critically injured when the specially equipped van he was driving slammed into a telephone pole. He suffered internal bleeding and underwent abdominal surgery to determine the extent of his injuries. Despite these challenges, he continued to produce music, with albums like Joy, 1988, whose title track went to number 1 R&B for 2 weeks, and Little More Magic, 1993. The latter half of the 90s found Pendergrass recording for the Surefire Wind-Up label. His autobiography, Truly Blessed, was published in 1991, but from then he mostly retreated from the public eye in his later years, heavily attributed to health issues. On June 5, 2009, Pendergrass underwent a successful surgery for colon cancer and returned home to recover. A few weeks later, he returned to the hospital with respiratory issues. After 7 months, he sadly died of respiratory failure on January 13, 2010, with his wife Joan by his side at Bryn Mawr Hospital, aged 59. He was laid to rest at West Laurel Hill Cemetery in Ballacynwyd, Pennsylvania. And if you thought by him gone meant things finally rested, you were wrong. A different fight was about to start. His widow, Joanne Pendergrass, who Teddy had married in 2006 in a private ceremony after the two had just known each other for 4 months, was suing the late singer's son and daughters over a protracted estate battle. After a long battle in the courts, the Montgomery County, Pennsylvania Orphans Court eventually held that the will presented by her was the only legitimate one. Joanne went ahead to demand for compensation from the kids for subjecting her to humiliation, diminished reputation, emotional distress, and anxiety. Anyway, away from that, with all said and done, Teddy's positives outweighed the negatives. From a nobody plucked out of nowhere to him being a drummer, and finally on the verge of taking over the world, he surely beat the odds. Teddy was, and still is, the man. No one around today can fill his shoes or even come close. He's been imitated severally, but will never be duplicated. He is the last of his kind, a true legend. We can only imagine what he could have turned to had he not been involved in the accident. How quick things turned only showed how sharp the curve of life is. Finally, let's forget about what happened that night. Let's celebrate him for sharing with us his God-given gift. Till we meet again, Teddy.
It's just the way I am. And it's worked. I did not have to change what I believe in to make what I enjoy doing work for me.